There's something magical about the bond between a human and their dog. It's a connection built on love, loyalty, and those unspoken moments that touch our hearts forever. Welcome to A Dog's Devotion, a podcast that celebrates the incredible ways dogs change our lives and sometimes even save them. Hi, I'm Carla Basagi, and in each episode we'll share powerful, heartfelt stories of dogs who have rescued their humans just as much as they've been rescued themselves. From acts of bravery to the quiet, everyday love that heals, these stories will make you laugh, cry, and even appreciate your furry best friend even more, if that is at all possible. Do you have a story that you'd like to share? I'd love to hear it. Join us on A Dog's Devotion, because every dog has a story, and every story deserves to be told. Welcome to A Dog's Devotion, the podcast where we celebrate the deep healing bond between humans and their canine companions. I'm your host, Carla Basaki, and today's episode is one that is really going to stay with you. We're visiting a place where love never ages and every dog is treated like family. Whispering Willows Senior Dog Sanctuary is located in Missouri. Joining me are founder Valerie Reed, whose heart led her to create this final refuge for senior and hospice dogs, and Maddie Dick, the sanctuary's passionate social media director, who helps share these dog stories with the world. Whispering Willows is more than just a sanctuary. It's a home, a place where dogs come to live out their golden days in peace, surrounded by love, comfort, and dignity. Valerie and Maddie are giving these precious souls what many thought they'd never have again, and that's a second chance at being cherished. So let's step into their world and see what devotion really looks like.
Wonderful. We're so thankful to be here. We appreciate you.
Well, I think that what you do is incredible. And we really want to talk about senior dogs and how I believe they're overlooked many times, especially when it comes to adoption. But let's start at the beginning, Valerie, because you're the founder. How did you get the idea for this sanctuary? How did it all start?
It came out of my own heartbreak when my dad was passing from cancer, and I had been his hospice caretaker and home helper. And I got to spend every day with him.
Right.
And when I did, his best friend, Staley, which was his Doberman, was by his side, and she knew that he was dying and that he was ill, and she never left his side. And it was such just respect for him and love for him. And I thought, how can we, as people, we have our pets and we love them, how can we just send them to shelters when somebody passes or when something bad happens and you can't take care of your animal anymore? What happens to all these animals? And once he passed, my mom ended up not being able to handle her. She was physically ill, and we couldn't take her into my home with my husband and my daughter because we already had several dogs and it wasn't allowed to have more than that. So we were over our capacity. But we had called different shelters and asked, can you help? We've called the Doberman Rescues. Can you help? What can we do? You have anybody who would help her? And they all said, no, we'll put her to sleep. And I thought, no, because she got my dad through the end. She was his best friend, and she stayed by his side until his very last breath. And then she left the room. And so I thought, I will not do that to her, and I will not dishonor him by doing that. So it took a long time, but we're finally here. But she went to a foster who had worked with the Doberman Rescue, but she wasn't a rescue herself or anything, and she had her own Dobermans, and she took Staley in, and she lived on a farm for a year until she passed. She didn't ask us for any money. She didn't need anything. She sent us pictures of her, so I knew she was safe, and she was running, and she got to live again. She wasn't, she healed from my dad and grieved, and she actually got to be a dog without that burden on her. And it was wonderful. And so that's what sparked it, because I felt like what happens when so many people do pass from cancer or just of old age or tragic accidents, just everything you can think of. We're people and we all need help, and all their animals need help. So we just found a place, that a little corner of the rescue world that didn't really exist because nobody wanted to deal with old dogs. We'll just put them down. They're worthless, and they're not. They have so much purpose, and they have, even if their time is short, they have such love and amazing transformations with us that they touch us all deeply. And how can you say no to that? how could you not love them and want to see them through the very end, giving them the very best of what they can have.
Yeah, I agree. I was speaking to somebody who was talking about there should be something in people's wills so that when they pass, they put something in about where their dogs go or who's going to take care of the dog. Because you know more than I do how many times, unfortunately, seniors pass and there's this poor dog left in the house alone.
Yeah, and
So
sometimes
think
it's for weeks or longer, and it's very traumatic for them. It takes them a long time to come back from that. So we talk about a lot of be prepared. Even if you're nowhere near close dying, you don't think anything could happen. You never know. Just be prepared, the same that you would do for your own children,
right.
human children. And so if we do that for our loved ones, why not do that for your loved fur?
I totally agree. We have hospices and palliative care units for
Mhm.
humans. My stepfather was in a hospice, so I know how much he needed it and the
Yeah,
service that those women gave him. And he couldn't have survived the length of time he did if it wasn't for
right.
that. So I'm one of those people that prefer dogs over humans. So why
Yeah.
shouldn't dogs have the same respect, right?
Right, absolutely.
So is this where most of your dogs come from, Valerie? Is from seniors who have passed, or are they? Because I know if if you go to a shelter, most of the dogs in there are seniors. People
Yes.
don't normally adopt a senior. Do you get them from shelters as well?
We do. We kind of have a mixture. My focus that I like to always help and try my very best to say no to is not to say no is people who are moving into nursing homes or people who have cancer or a family member has cancer and they need help. They're not making that choice because they're tired of the dog or the dog's peeing on the floor and they're done with it. They're making that choice out of love because there is no other choice. And
Right.
so I enjoy giving the gift of saying we will love them and take them. We also help in a lot of tragic car accidents. We've helped with multiple suicide victims, their animals, because nobody thinks about that. Like someone when someone goes through that and they lose their life, what happens to their animals who were there loving them and protecting them? And usually a lot of times that's all they have is their animal. And so we've had a lot of animals come from that situation. We've had unfortunately multiple times where someone has been murdered and we've taken on their dog. And then we help shelters. So we help with hospice patients and your general elderly population who's moving into nursing homes or assisted living. I find we help the most the most that I love to do is when there's no other choice and they're not making this absolutely not making this decision or this decision is not something that I could keep them or no they can't keep them, there's nowhere else to go. And so what better job to have than to step up and say we can help them, we can love them, and we can do that for you in your place or along with you. So it's just been a real journey, and I
I
started
bet.
out by thinking that I'm just going to move and we'll have lots of dogs, and then it evolved into our giant sanctuary and everything that's happening with us. It's been 8 years now, and it's nowhere. I never dreamed of even having a rescue. It kind of just exploded because the need was so great. It was absolutely so great. And I had no idea how many animals and families out there were hurting and in desperate need of help for their animal.
Mhm.
And just like my dad's Doberman, she deserved to be respected and to be loved until her final day because she did that for him.
Mhm.
And I think that we owe them that dignity for sure.
I agree with you. Now, your sanctuary has grown over the years. How many dogs have you brought in?
We just at Christmas time we passed over 4,000 dogs.
Wow. And how many years have you been operating?
April was our 8th anniversary.
Eighth anniversary. It's incredible how popular. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's such a much needed sanctuary. There should be more of them around, don't you think?
I do think, and I think there are some that are starting to pop up, which is really good, but there's not enough help throughout all of the states. And in regular traditional shelters, they don't have the time to care for seniors because they do take more time and they do not have the funds. The funds are not given to the shelters to do any physical care that they need extra other than daily food and shots. And so, the seniors really suffer. And that's something, I think that our society misses out on with animals, but also with people, that our aging population kind of gets tossed aside. And
Hmm.
that's who we should be respecting and loving.
I agree. What type of environment do they live in? Do they have free roam of your house and your backyard?
They have free roam of our house, of all of our buildings. They wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. and they are free range chickens until 9 p.m. or so at night, sometimes a little later. But they are out all day. They come and go between the buildings. They lay on the decks. They lay in the sun. They chase after the squirrels. It's hard to imagine, but they are a normal family. They don't know that they live at a shelter. Where their moms, where their dads, were their aunts who love them. And so we become their family. We create the family and they thrive in it. And they're here with many other fur siblings that they've never met. But we introduce them and have a process, and they know that they're family. They know that they belong. And I think that's the most important thing to me, is to let them be seen. They get forgotten and they know they're
Hmm.
forgotten. And that's the part where nobody helps them and nobody wants them, and they know it. And so when they get here, my biggest joy is seeing their eyes eventually come back alive. And you can see the recognition that they understand that they are okay. And that is my absolute joy, to see that they
I
know
bet
that they're loved, and
that they're
they
safe now.
they will make it.
Valerie, how long does it take? Because some of these dogs come from really traumatic pasts. You can't imagine what they've been through. How long does it take for them to adjust and feel safe and realize they're in this safe community, this safe family that you've created?
Well, there's no given time, but I will say it happens quicker than you think. And with us, we have so many emotions and so many hang-ups and grudges or hurts or whatever you want to call it. It's harder for us to let go. But when they feel safe, they're allowed to grieve and they're allowed to let go. And they're not the same as us. They grieve with pure hearts, and they love with pure hearts. And so some dogs will be just a couple of days. Some dogs come and they're like, oh my goodness, thank you. Other dogs will come and it might take them 2 weeks to feel completely open and safe. But it really just depends. We try our best to, when dogs come in, we've done this so long now that we're like, that will be a Katie dog, or that will be Valerie's dog. Like, we know which one of us they will bond to. And
Right.
because we all have personalities, and each of us kind of draws our own pack, because they need something from us. They see and feel something from us that they
Hmm.
need.
It's
And
amazing.
so when they come in, we're like, oh, we know whose dog that will be. But we really are one family. And just like dogs at home that have siblings will get in little squabbles, or somebody will step on somebody and they get upset. But for the most part, they nap together, they play together, they live together. We are kind of a weird family with this many dogs.
I think it's the
But
best family. It
yeah,
would be one that I would want. That's for
yeah.
definitely for sure.
So they see
I
this as
want
their home.
and that just warms my heart, and I love watching the videos on Instagram of all of them playing outside with balls and,
Mhm.
cuddling up with each other, and you just see you have brought them back to life, which is great. Maddie, I'd like to ask you something. How did you become involved with Whispering Willows?
I've been here for I think 2.5 years now, and I started just kind of as the social media director, kind of on my own, and then as we kind of grew as the social media, now we have like a bigger team that helps with everything. But it just kind of, I mean, I don't know exactly how you would say got involved. It just kind of fell into place. I've always loved dogs. I have my own dogs that are like my children. And so whenever I started looking into Whispering Willows and really seeing like there are people out there that don't see dogs the way I see dogs, kind of drew me. And I just always knew I wanted to work with a nonprofit, just because, when you're working, but your working has meaning. And so I
Right.
feel that was always something. Even out of college, I was like, I want my work to have meaning, and I want to have like a purpose with my work. And so that's kind of what drew me to Whispering Willows, and then it just kind of all fell into place that it was with dogs.
Which is the best. So what does a typical day look like for you then, Maddie?
For me, a typical day is, I mean, we get so many comments and everything in. So I kind of look through those, and then we have people, part of our team, that helps with the comments and stuff. And so kind of seeing what people, the feedback and stuff, and then going through just kind of, what content we have, what dogs we haven't seen recently, and just kind of making sure we share. Like recently, I guess last night we posted Dixie, and I was just like, we really need to
Yes.
show her and just like how far she's come, because when she first arrived, we were honestly so surprised with how her legs looked, because I mean, you just wouldn't think that someone would let a dog have legs like that. And so kind of just like, I feel like my everyday is kind of just seeing who needs to be seen today, and
Mm-hmm.
and also because I feel like a big part of posting everything is also getting that connection with our followers, and making them feel like they are also part of this family, because we are kind of like they are the support system behind us. And so I feel like also just making sure that they feel connected, and whenever everyone has like their own favorite dog, and it's just crazy to me how like of a community it is, because they know these dogs just as much as we know these dogs, and it's insane.
Well, from somebody who's been following you on Instagram, I know that there's something special about seeing an old dog find peace and
Mhm.
love that just melts your heart. You mentioned that you get tons of comments, and I see it on your Instagram account all the time. So people are watching, and what are the major comments that they give back, that they write to you when you post, like about Dixie, which is just heart wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of just, I feel like it's very emotional. A lot of people get
Hmm.
very emotional, and they just kind of feel, but then they're also very supportive that like we are the ones that are helping them. And then just kind of, we usually always get good, uplifting feedback. Just a lot of people that know these dogs, and so they're like, oh, Dixie, and just kind of like, I mean, I'm so happy to see her running around now, and just, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's just kind of crazy to think that like, oh, they've been watching since she's gotten here.
They follow.
Yeah, they follow along
They
on this journey
follow.
for these dogs, and
Yeah.
we've even gotten comments that are like, you really make me feel like they are in my home, and they make me feel
Hmm.
like they're part of my family. And so I feel like my job, that, I mean, that's really meaningful to hear, because that's what I want our followers to feel, because
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, they're supporting this mission, but these dogs are essentially kind of their dogs too. And so I feel like, I don't know what I'm trying to say now, but
That's
I'm
okay. I
gonna
think I think everything that you post and everything is amazing. You do a great service to these poor old souls, and it's an emotional ride for people that follow you on Instagram. And you just mentioned that. I'm curious, do either one of you, and I know you've got quite a few people that work with you, Valerie, do your emotions at any time ever take over?
Oh, of course, because you can't love something truly and not grieve and not feel compassion or hurt for them or loss. So of course they do. And if we didn't feel that way, then you're not truly loving them. And so there are tears here, but then there will be tears with laughter, and then there's sweet memories of like a post will come up and be like, look, it came up in memories today, and so there are times that it's sad because of what we do and how much death we see, but at the same time there's so much joy, because once they get to that point that they're passing, they have suffered, so it is such a release to say goodbye and let them be set free. It's a gift to do that. We don't all have that ability, so the ability to get them out of their suffering or emotional suffering for whatever may be happening, and into their next journey. That's amazing to be able to do. It's not scary. It is sad, but it's not sad in that way. It's just sad, we'll miss them, but it's an honor to walk with them as they take their last breath.
That's amazing.
they're beautiful little souls. And I think all of us, depending, on our own personalities, we get helped by them sometimes more than we help them, because there's things
Mhm.
in the dogs or situations that come up that they've been in that work through our heart for something that we've been through. And there's a lot of healing that takes place on both sides. It's not just the doggies. So I think that the dogs are just as good for us as we are.
Right. So true. It's so true. Now I know you must get a lot of requests per week for dogs that need a home.
Right.
How many on average do you think you get per week?
Per week. Oh my gosh, a ton. And a lot of shelters that need help too. And it can be overwhelming. And I had to accept that we take on the ones that we can help. The ones that truly come here are the ones that truly needed us. They need us. And so, our criteria is ages 12 and older, so they are senior. They are not dogs that could easily get adopted or live for years in a family. These are dogs that they're coming here to pass, whether it's in a couple months or in a couple days, they're coming here to pass. And so our criteria is the age. They have to be altered, of course, for safety, and they have to be able to get along with other doggies. They have to be dog friendly. So that's our criteria, and then we go through it and look at why do they need us, like what has happened to them, what is going on, and then we try to put kind of priority list, because there's so many that we can't say yes to everyone. So
Well,
we have to figure out who's the most emergency and needs us now. And there's some that come that are just so grieving, that just dying to be loved, just waiting for somebody to love them again. Like this little one I'm holding, this is Phoebe, and she was found running the streets. She had been dumped, and she was a breeder dog. It's really obvious that she's had lots and lots of babies.
yeah.
Horrible condition, no bottom jaw at all. And her hair was so matted you really couldn't even tell what she was. It was huge, just all over her. And she's a little 6 pound little tiny poodle, um, and on her own. And just as soon as she met me, I don't know what happened, because all of a sudden she's like, "Hello, mom," and it was
Well,
almost,
I can see
yeah.
she's sitting on your lap like you're bonded, the two of you.
It was almost instantly. I mean, instantly. And she's mostly blind. So there was something about my presence that calmed her. And she instantly came to me, and they were all like, "She's your dog." And she hasn't left my side. She goes everywhere with me, as many
That's
of them do.
amazing.
But they choose us, and we are glad to love them back.
Well, thank you for doing that. I know you're nonprofit. What kind of support does Whispering Willows need most?
Honestly, financial support, because
Yeah.
we do all of their medical. So even though they're dying, they still have some time with us, and we do not allow pain. We do not allow any to suffer. So they get any type of comforting pain meds, heart meds, seizure meds. Our vet comes to our sanctuary every single Monday and spends hours here vetting them, looking at them, doing new intakes. And so it's quite expensive. The medicines are expensive, food's expensive. Just all their care adds up to so much that's the overwhelming part. And so anytime we need anything, food's important, and we can get help with some food. But the most important is paying vet bills and being able to give them surgeries that will buy them some time or save their life for a little bit. Or doing like enucleations, because the eyes are so bad, they have to be
Mhm.
taken care of. There's just so many things that people don't think about. It's just like your elderly loved one who's in hospice or a nursing home. They need help to survive every day and to keep them
Yes.
comfortable. And our job is to keep them comfortable. We don't do unnecessary things. We don't put them through the surgeries we only do it if it will buy them time and that they have quality of life. If
Right.
we don't ever do anything just to do something, it's very thought out, very talked about, and planned for them on what's best. And so, like yesterday, we had two surgeries. One of our little weenie dogs got spayed, and she had a cancerous uterus and was having some troubles, but she got spayed yesterday because she never had been. And then we also had one of our boy dogs had a dental and had tons of teeth removed. When I was grooming when I was grooming him the other day, you could literally just take his teeth and pull them out, like just barely touching them. And so he was having trouble eating, and so we did a demo because he wouldn't be able to eat, and it would take away all
Mhm.
that pain and take away all that infection. Any help at all with financial or helping pay for our veterinary to come out, even just on our vet count, was wonderful. But yeah, these kiddos, think of one dog, that how much it costs to get medication and take him to the vet, and then multiply that about by 60 all the time. It's a lot of financial issues to take care of, for sure.
How many dogs do you have with you right now?
I think we're at 57, and then we get three more this weekend. So,
Wow.
yeah, a lot.
What are some of, and I know this is probably an emotional topic anyway, but is there one memorable transformation or story that you've seen at the sanctuary that really sticks out in your mind, either you, Maddie, or Valerie?
Do you have one?
Like Walter.
Oh, we had a Shih Tzu that we helped. His name was Walter. He was black and white. He looked like a little panda. He was super cute. And his little teeth, he had like two little tusks that stuck out at the bottom. Like, he was so darling. He was found in Illinois, thrown out of a car on the side of a country highway. They threw him out of the car, and he was laying in the ditch. And somebody had found them that came up behind them. And he was paralyzed in his back legs, and he was skin and bones. He had wounds all over him. Somebody who knew me called me from Illinois and said, "Will you take him?" And I was like, "Absolutely, like absolutely." And so he got here. He was paralyzed. We don't know if it was from birth or an injury. It wasn't a new. You could tell he had paralysis for quite some time because of the way his feet were turned and
Right.
just the damage. So he had been prior that way. But we got him a wheelchair ordered immediately. We started just doing physical therapy on him, red light therapy, and just really getting him to the point, like totally loved over and carried and babied, and showing him what life should be like, and grooming him and getting him. I mean, he was darling, just darling. And he was the cutest little thing. And he never gave up. So when he got into his wheelchair, he's like, "Watch out, world." And he would just go
Oh,
down. He would go down our ramps as fast as he could, like half turning over. He was just, the excitement to have mobility again was amazing. And so we kept doing all of his treatments. We kept doing red light therapy, acupuncture, and was there anything else? I'm trying to think. I think mostly we did, every day we did his red light
Red light.
therapy, and it was pretty amazing because our little boy, who had no movement in his back legs, his legs started moving. He started getting control over his feet, and I had gone on vacation to get away for a little bit, and my husband called me and he's like, "Did you know Walter could move his legs?" And I said, "No, he's not." And I was like, "You're whatever, And so he sent me a video. He stood up on all four legs. He
oh,
was
that
able
must have
to.
made
Amazing.
must
So
have
he
made you
did.
feel so good.
Yes, because of all of our hard work and his determination, because he knew that he had a reason to live, and it just
Right.
awakened his soul. You could see his eyes were just mesmerized about his life. I mean, it was really amazing. And so anyway, he ended up being free of his wheelchair and walking. And we had him, I don't know, did we have him almost quite a
I
year?
think so.
Almost a year. And then he had heart failure and the normal aging issues, and he passed. But he got to walk again,
Mm-hmm.
and that was
That's
amazing.
amazing.
So through
Yeah.
perseverance, physical therapy, and just keeping on, showing him love day in, day out, it was pretty amazing. So I think that is probably my most favorite one, because it was just our own little miracle. Like, we would have never, ever, ever expected him to do that. I would have expected that he would have gotten strong from running around in his
Mm-hmm.
wheelchair, but I would never have
Yeah.
expected him to walk again. So that was pretty neat for us.
That's a heartwarming, great story to tell. I'm still, it still baffles my mind when I hear stories how people throw their dogs outside
Hmm.
their
That's
out their
horrible.
car. I've talked to couples where, dogs have been found in taped up boxes, and it's
Yes.
just, as a dog lover, I can't fathom how anybody can do something like that to a voiceless animal like that. But thank you for doing what you do. You help so many
Absolutely.
dogs. How many people, if you have so many dogs, you're going to have what, 60 by the weekend?
Hmm.
How many people do you have working for you, or do you have volunteers that come in daily?
We don't use or utilize volunteers because the dogs have been through so much. Some of them have been deeply abused by people, and new faces, new noises, new smells are very traumatizing on them. So we have a staff that works from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. every day of the week. And all staff members, they all know the dogs. They're all trained to handle them. They're trained in their medical care. They're trained to watch over for safety. Just everything are their family. And so they are staff members, but we're set up as a family. So all the dogs know them. They're used to them. When they come in, they know, like Barley is another dog that we have standing over here by us. You can't see him. He's a black lab. But he knows when his favorite person is coming in and which day it is, and he stands at the gates just waiting. And as soon as he sees his car, he's just barking and running and going up and
He's
down the ramp.
excited.
Yeah, and so they all know the schedule. Like, when your husband or your wife's coming home or somebody's coming and they know they're going to be there soon,
Right.
they start just getting excited. So we stay as a staff functioning sanctuary for stability, so that things are done right, so that the dogs are safe. We also handle medications that are controlled, and so for the safety of the dogs and just everything here, it's just better for us to not use volunteers and that for that reason.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Valerie, what would you like people to know about senior dogs?
I think that even though that they're old and maybe their bodies don't have a whole lot left to offer you, their hearts and their minds do. And just because their body has gotten old doesn't mean that there's not something in there to give. And like with little Phoebe here, she doesn't see very well and she doesn't hear very well. And she's pretty kooky. Like, she is a kooky little girl, but she's full of love. They want to be loved. They want to be a part of something. And I think just the same as in our elderly humans, they want to be seen and to be a part of something. So for me, that is, I wish people could just see, like, look into their eyes and see how special they are. And it's not just a dog. It's just not just an old dog that's a mess. It's a soul that needs love.
Maddie, what have these senior dogs taught you about life, love, or even yourself?
They've really taught me about selflessness because, I mean, these dogs, they don't ask for anything in return. They give you love without needing you to love them back. And so I just feel like that is something important. And that's also why I feel like people don't realize they do have so much love to give.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like they don't ask for anything in return, and people still, they don't give it back. And it's just, I don't know. I just feel like their selflessness and their compassion and their hearts are a lot bigger and more full of love than you would ever realize. You think they're older, they don't have that to give, but they honestly have probably just as much as a newborn puppy to give, because they've been here, they've experienced life, they all have different stories, and they all, no matter what, they just want to give you love.
And I think what people don't realize is that they understand what's happening, and most of them know that death is coming. They're aware, and they're also aware when their people have passed. And so I think people just don't give them that respect to allow them to grieve. It'll be, what's wrong with them? Why are they acting that way? Or, what's going on? And it's just the same as a human. They have so many emotions that people don't acknowledge, and it's really important.
I agree. For people who are listening in their own communities, how can they help senior dogs? What would you encourage them to do?
But I think even in your own community, in your way, I think you can reach out to any shelter nearby. And even if adopting is great, but even if you can't adopt, then foster or go sit with a senior dog in a shelter and just love on them, pet them. A lot of them don't want to go on walks, and they don't want, all the craziness that the shelter has. Just talk to them. They love hearing our voices. They get so excited. Helping anywhere in a shelter system is amazing. Or if you have a neighbor who's older, check on them. Check on their dog if they need to be helped or bathed or anything. Not all of us can do sanctuaries or, open shelters, but all of us can do something.
I
And
agree. It's great.
even something little is such a big help to them.
Maddie, how can people reach out to you? What's your website and your Instagram account?
Yeah, our website is Whispering Willows Senior Dog Sanctuary.com, and then our Instagram is Whispering Willows _SDS. We also have a TikTok, Whispering Willows Dogs, and then we also have a Facebook page. And we post on all those daily and share little bits of the seniors' lives here at the sanctuary, giving health updates, just kind of keeping everyone up to date with what the seniors are doing here at the sanctuary.
That's amazing. Well, if I just want to say thank you for both of you for joining me. And I also, every dog at Whispering Willows may have a different past, but I think they all share the same present, one filled with love, respect, and warmth that you all are giving to them. So a big thank you to Valerie Reed and Maddie Dick for the beautiful work that you do and everyone that works for you. And it's also a good reminder that compassion doesn't have an age limit.
Right.
Their devotion to us, no matter what their age, whether they're puppies or seniors, shows us that even in the twilight of life, there can be light, laughter, and love.
Mhm.
So thank you. If this episode touched your heart, consider supporting a senior dog. As Valerie just mentioned, go to a rescue near you, go to a shelter, and maybe just spend an hour a week with a senior dog, sitting there, petting them, holding them, talking to them. Simply offer a little extra love to the older dogs in your own life or people that you have. And please, if you're considering adopting a rescue, I hope this episode makes you think twice about saving a senior dog because they really need that chance. So I want to thank both of you once again. I'm going to wrap this up. Whispering Willows Seniors Sanctuary in Missouri, for all the wonderful work you've been doing for the past 8 years and all the hundreds of dogs that you have given a great end to life. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. We appreciate you.
Okay, until next time, I'm your host, and this has been A Dog's Devotion, where every story is a tribute to the dogs who rescue us right back. Thanks for listening. Bye bye. Thank you so much to my incredible guest for sharing their story today, and thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a moment. And if you have fellow dog lovers in your life, please spread the word and share the love. Here on A Dog's Devotion, we talk about it all, from the heartbreak of losing a beloved companion to the pure joy of welcoming a rescue into your life. Dogs are more than just pets. They're family, they're our healers, they're our best friends. So love them deeply and cherish every single moment. I'm Carla Pisacki. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.